as always, this week, we have something to talk about. And we are going to go with one of the topics that was voted on last week, because I wanted to. A lot of you have messaged me, asking me why, so now it's time for me to explain my hatred towards the one, the only, thankfully, Jim Cornette. It is no secret to anyone, by now, my hatred for Jim Cornette. I try not to even give the guy press by usually not even naming him. But like I said, enough people have asked about why I hate him, and it's time to address it. Basically, it comes down to three things. These three things have led me to this position towards the man. His hate-based opinions, that joke from the NWA, and his Alex Jones cult-like personality. I'm not here to convince anyone of anything, but simply explain the reason for my opinion on him. First, let's start with his hate-style opinions. There's a way that he addresses those opinions that is just not the right way to address your opinion. Jim Cornette is one of those that feel his opinion is fact. Cornette believes that his narrow, very narrow definition of what pro wrestling is the only thing that pro wrestling is, and everything else is not pro wrestling. If it does not meet his small criteria, it's not allowed to be called pro wrestling. Cornette, regardless of experience or following, does not have the ability to create a definition of an art form. No one does. No one. Not one person, not one even group of people get to decide what is and is not pro wrestling. As I've said before, a painter does not get to tell another painter that their art is not art, because it doesn't meet that specific person's definition. Wrestling is art, and art is subjective. Cornette knows the more he hates something that others hate, he will win. He gets the people sharing his podcast so that people can feel validation from their own hatred of something, because someone that they respect has the same opinion. Thinking something is garbage is a personal preference. It means you don't like it. It does not mean it is poor in quality. There are many people every day that talk about how much they love WWE. Does you hating Raw and SmackDown mean that their love is wrong? Or does it just mean that you don't have the same taste as that person? Jim Cornette does not say things like, I hated it, or that's not my cup of tea. He says things like, that is not a wrestling character, or no one will believe that, or how can you do that? That makes no sense. In no way does he back up why that doesn't make any sense. If you give reasons and go one by one on why factually that doesn't make sense, that's no longer opinion. But because he is just stating why he doesn't like something, does not equate something as being garbage to the whole industry. One person not liking it doesn't mean it's bad. This goes back to when we were talking about the toxic environment in the wrestling community. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. It leads us to this next point with Jim Cornette, and that is his cult of personality. I know I got the song stuck in your head, but stay with me. So Jim Cornette is basically the wrestling version of Alex Jones. If you don't know who Alex Jones is, good for you. So Cornette speaks a lot of garbage that is not fact-based in any way, and just calls people idiots that don't agree with his opinion, like Alex Jones. You can call your opinion fact all you want, but it doesn't make it any more true than me saying I am Jesus Christ and making me the Son of God. That doesn't work that way. Cornette uses that to make his living. He deliberately is creating that controversy, because, to quote another person, controversy creates cash, in order to get people fired up. Those who agree with him will share his podcast with their friends to give themselves validation, as I said above, and those who don't will go on a rant, similar to like I am right now, in order to talk about how wrong he is. It's one of the reasons why I don't like to mention him too often, because then he wins. This is what Alex Jones does. He knows what the militant crazies like him are and are passionate about, and pours gasoline all over it and rakes in the money from it. You see, you don't need someone else to have the same opinion as you to validate your opinion. Like what you like, not what other people like, just because you might respect someone. Now finally, we get into that joke. The straw that broke the camel's back, as it is. I don't care how anyone tries to justify it, that joke was in poor taste, and should never have come out of a person's mouth in 2019, 2020, 2021, whatever year it is now, on TV or not. That shouldn't have happened. The joke almost killed the NWA when it was still fresh out of the gate with power. If you support Cornette, you probably think the joke was funny. If you did, you have some of your own issues that you need to work on. I am not going to apologize for that. I was sad to see how many NWA fans came out in defense of him simply because of what he meant to them. One of my grandfathers once said a massively racist joke in front of me, and I told him straight to his face to never say a joke like that to me again. If I can say that to my grandfather, there is no excuse for someone that you don't even know for you to be defending that kind of joke with. There is no excuse for making excuses for that joke. Bottom line. And that is why I do not like Jim Cornette. So please let me know in the comments why you still support Jim Cornette, or why you hold his opinion in such high regard instead of forming your own opinion. Do you agree with me? Do you agree that Cornette has outlived his welcome, and it's time for him to ride off into whatever narrow-minded sunset he's going to go into? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this week's topic, regardless of what it is. So give us a comment letting us know what your thoughts are. And if you enjoyed hearing my thoughts, we'd really appreciate a like on the video, as it would really help others get to see the video. If you can share it, even more powerful. Subscribe, follow, whatever you can do wherever you're watching us, please do so.